Otio, Sonoyo Star, Eli Dona Dagahavi, Amino Ganale, Che Ugadali Onega, Che Chickamauga, Che Gaduwa, Ale, Osage. Chilugi Uganale Eli Navida. This is White Feather. I'm one of your hosts for this evening. What I said to you was welcome. I am Chickamauga and Gaduwa Cherokee and also Osage. And welcome to all my family and relations and friends. Our guest host this evening, my co-host this evening, as usual, is Doreen Bennett from Aotearoa, also known as New Zealand. Kia ora, Doreen.
Kia ora, Mashu, and he mihi aroha kia koutou katoa. My greetings to everyone listening today.
Good one. We had scheduled for our guest a lovely lady from Australia by the name of Julie Turner, and she's in the Outback right now, from what I understand, and so we're just waiting to see if she does come on, and if she does, then we will share her wealth of information and some of the things that she does over in Australia, and she's a lovely lady that Doreen and I had met in New York while we were attending the Indigenous Peoples Permanent Forum in New York. So, Doreen, since we've got back, you have gone back to work. You have taken 2 or 3 jobs, and you have been working with our Two Feathers as well, International Consultancy. And then you've been back home for a visit for the first time. How was that?
That was so great because I arrived home on the 2nd of June and straight back to work the next day, and then every weekend since I've actually been working, running a bit of a decolonisation program for women. And that's been every weekend. Last weekend was my first weekend off. So I went home to get grounded and just get myself back, back to being me. And it was wonderful. I came back to work this morning.
Did they all recognize you from being gone for so long?
Oh, I'm sure they did, Mashu. There's 9 in my family, and we had 8 of us home for the weekend. And that's very rare that happens for our family. So that was nice. That was nice for Mum and Dad to see all of us together at once. So we had a group, bit of a selfie photo, which somebody plastered all over Facebook.
But I saw that.
Nice. Mum and Dad are, because they're in their late 70s, and it's not that often, they go anywhere or they get to see us. There's no way they can travel anymore outside of Wainuiarua where they live. So it was good for them, just good to give them that lift.
And I see that that they're getting on internet now.
Oh, yes. We introduced them to Facebook and to Skype.
Good.
So a crash course on Sunday with both of them. Every day we'll ring to make sure they get used to it. I think they will. I think we'll see. Mum and Dad both said to all of us that they're only available Tuesday afternoons and Thursday nights for us.
Well, I think they would probably get on better with Skype because they can actually see people and, they don't have to travel so far. Especially since they're going to be home in Wainuiarua more. I think they would really enjoy that, especially your mom.
Oh, they did. We went out for dinner. So we just did, all those things that you do as a family. Without all the nieces and nephews and grandkids and great-grandkids. We actually excluded them from the weekend. So all of them were on our, texting us on Facebook, trying to find out what we were all doing.
So did you take Cadence and the rest of them back to Palmy?
No, he went with another a niece, and that's where my 2 grandkids went.
Okay.
That was good, and I actually needed the break because, as you know, the UN was hard and fast.
I know. I was looking at you when we were talking on Skype, and I said, she really needed to rest.
I know, and I think what takes it out of you is the flight from here to Turtle Island.
Yeah.
It's between 12 and, 17 hours, just one of the flights. So it's real hard to do if you're not used to flying.
Yeah. Well, and then you didn't have a chance really to catch up either. When you got here, you didn't have like a day or so to rest up before we actually started the UN, and then you were on full kick the whole time, even after you got back to Aotearoa.
Yes, I was.
I know, and I could tell that was stressing you out, but we will know next time, won't we?
Well, it's just how the work fell, and if there's work, then you end up doing it.
Yeah.
And at the moment, my goal is to head back that way in September. One of the things that's on in September is the World Conference on Indigenous People. That's 22nd and 23rd of September, back at New York at the United Nations.
Oh, it's just a 2-day one?
Yeah. And then there's also the UN conference at Geneva, which is also happening in September.
Mm-hmm.
So those are two big events that I want to try and get to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as well as that, I also want to come over so that we can help, just to help kickstart Two Feathers International, so we can start going out and visiting.
Yeah. What are the dates for the United Nations Treaty Council in Geneva, Switzerland? Do you have the dates for that yet?
No, I don't. It definitely is September.
Well, I'm assuming since the one in New York is the 22nd and 23rd, is probably towards the 1st of September. Because isn't that another 2-week thing?
No, that one's only a week.
Oh, only a week. Okay.
In Geneva, yeah. And it may not be a full week.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how that operates. Now, what we've been told by one of the men that's part of the Pacific and Asia Global Caucus, Ghazali, has said to us that it's very, very organised.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the UN, the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, isn't. It is, but it's a little bit more, people come and go. You've got all these Indigenous people all over the place. Whereas Geneva, he said, isn't like that. It's very organised, very structured. The administration part for people, when they go in, everyone's looked after, their flights, their accommodation, their meals, everything's quite systematic, and it's all in order.
Oh, well, that's good.
I know. That's Switzerland. I guess they've got their act together.
I know, because when we went to New York, I know we thought we had everything planned, and at the last minute they switched us over to some other place to get our tickets, and so we were just kind of hanging there for a day or so. We weren't quite for sure what was going on, but it all worked out just fine.
Yeah, and I think it does anyway with anything Indigenous. We're not always structured and organised, but the Switzerland one is, and I think how Ghazali was saying is they've been doing it a little while, so they learnt, the best way to do things for everyone.
Now, my question is, do you understand that language over there? Do you understand, what is it? It's in Switzerland, so do you understand the language there?
Me? No. Although I have I've been looking at taking Spanish lessons, to speak
I don't
Spanish.
think Spanish is the national language of Switzerland.
No, I know, but that's the other language I heard in New York was Spanish.
Oh, yeah, well, Spanish is the second national language here in Turtle Island.
I know.
Yeah.
No, Geneva will be exactly the same as United Nations. They'll have the interpreters for the 5 basic languages. I think it was Russian, French, Spanish, English, What's the other one?
Russian.
I said Russian.
Oh, you did? Russian,
yeah.
Spanish, English, French.
Mhm. I don't know. It must be one of the African languages because it's sort of...
A lot of African countries will speak French as a second language.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a pretty common language for a second language in Africa. And but I ended up in Belgium when I did a 5-country tour lecturing in Europe, and I had a layover in Belgium, and there were some African people coming up, and nobody spoke English there, and I knew very little, if anything, in French. But people of Belgium, most of those people that live in Belgium that I ran into were all multilingual. So I think I know I can get by in several languages, just enough to get in trouble, but I can teach sign language really quick.
So Mashu, what were your thoughts on the next round at the United Nations? Like, next year is definitely we need to go next year.
Yeah.
Because I think 1 year at the permanent forum isn't enough. I think you need at least 2 years to know what you're doing.
I'm actually looking forward to it. And since we kind of got our feet wet this time and we know more of what's going on, I think we can probably be more active in it. So, and I think maybe we'll have to go through that list of the side events and pick out ahead of time which ones we think are going to be more important for us to see. Although when it comes to those side events and anything cultural, I would love to be able to see it all, but there's just too much to do at one time. That's the bad part about it. There's there's so much going on.
And just for everyone listening, the side events at the United Nations at the Permanent Forum were presentations that were run by different countries, different indigenous groups.
Different tribes.
And most of them happened after the UN forum closed for the day.
Most of the things that went on during the day where you actually were in meetings and you met with chairmen and all the countries were represented and different issues. It was usually anywhere from 8 and 9 in the morning till about, what would you say, 6 in the evening. And then the events that the other people from other countries put on from their culture was usually after that. So you could go anywhere from like 7 or 8 in the morning until 9 or 10 at night nonstop. Of course, with times out to eat. And we usually took our meals at the UN, so they have a couple of restaurants there. So that's usually where we were, until at least 5 or 6 o'clock at night.
I know. Gosh, I really had to squeeze in looking at the city.
Well, thank God for the weekend, because we did get to see Grand Central Station and Times Square.
It did.
And we saw Chinatown and Little Italy, I think it was.
Yeah, Chinatown.
They were all that close.
Right.
I see Julia's come online.
Oh, good. The other thing. Oh, great. So the other. I forgot what I was going to say, Matthew.
Good morning.
Good morning, Julie. How are you?
I made it.
I know.
That's great.
Now that you were here, but that you weren't here right in the beginning, and that we were waiting for you, and so we're glad you were able to join us.
Yeah, I'm glad to join you guys too.
Doreen and I have just been talking about the United Nations and our time there, right, Doreen?
Yes, we were. Sorry. Yeah, we were just reminiscing, I think, Julie.
Yeah.
On how busy our days were from morning till night, and how we couldn't work in all of the side events after 5 or 6 o'clock at night and things like that. So we were saying, since we've been there once before, and I think this was your first time as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I just spent the last hour writing up my application now to go to the World Conference in September.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I received an email very late yesterday afternoon, and they're looking for 28 delegates from Australia to be fully funded. Yeah. So we only got until close of business tomorrow afternoon. So we only got 48 hours to respond. So like I said, just the last hour I've just been trying to type up why I want to go to the World Conference in September.
Very.
So, yeah, so I hope I'll be one of the people that gets selected to go. They said they will let us know in about 2 weeks' time.
Are you planning to go to the Indigenous Peoples Permanent Forum next year?
Oh yes, definitely, most definitely, yes. I already got sponsors. My airfare is paid for next year. So
great.
Yeah. So I worked hard with my fundraising and getting, private sponsorships from, business and local business and Australian companies. So I've already got $5,000 thrown at me already. So, and I didn't even ask for it.
No.
Yeah.
Boy, lucky you.
Yeah. So all I got to do now is just take care of my accommodation, and that'll come easy through the rest of my fundraising. I'll be there next year.
Yep, Doreen and I were just saying that since we were all there the first time this year, that we'll know better how to maybe be able to squeeze things in better, like for the side events and the cultural events.
Yep, exactly, and the same for me. I'll know better now what to do. Yeah.
Now, just so we do it, because last week we had a lot of technical problems, Julie. And this week, this show will be aired through YouTube. If you wanted to, would you like to introduce yourself and where you're from and a little bit about what you do in Australia?
Yeah, okay then. Well, now, or...
Yes, please.
Oh, are we live on air now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay, then I didn't know that. Okay. My name is Julie Turner. I'm from Darwin, Australia. I'm an Indigenous woman. I'm also an Indigenous educator. I'm a school teacher. I teach out in remote Indigenous schools here in Australia. I'm very passionate about my work involves Indigenous suicide and Indigenous suicide and self-harm. Anything else?
No, that's all good. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
I think that's quite enough for one person to be doing all that, plus traveling around the world for Indigenous rights and issues, too. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I see myself getting more involved in a wide range of Indigenous issues now. I can slowly see that door, closing on me. Well, not so much closing on me on Indigenous suicide, but, just picking up other Indigenous issues now, like Indigenous language and dialects, Indigenous housing, land and, rainforest, all those things, that affect Indigenous people all around the world. So, yeah, I see this as a start of something else for me. I can actually see myself leaving teaching and doing my work internationally, which is something my spirit guide has always told me, this is where I'm taking you. And I couldn't figure out how would I get there, but now everything just seemed to be all falling in place. So, yeah, it's been a very interesting journey.
it's funny how that works when you kind of have a feeling you're going someplace, that you feel that you want to do, or sometimes it even like surprises you at what opens up for you.
Yeah.
And then things fall into place. Doreen and I had talked about that a couple of times, like when we were going to New York, how things kind of just fell in place for that as well, right?
Yes. See, with me, this is going back to the year 2000, my employer, he said to me, why don't you go to university and get your teaching degree, and then you can be a teacher. And I sort of knew then that I had to go and get my teaching degree, but then I told my employer, I know I have to go and get my teaching degree, but I know I'm not going to be a teacher forever. I know that it's going to lead me somewhere else on the international platform. And I don't know why I said that at the time, because at the time I had no desire to do anything like this. And unknown to me, 6 years later, when my daughter passed away through suicide, that's when I got involved with suicide work then. And within a year of her death, the work that I've done for my daughter in regards to suicide is now implemented worldwide. So, and then I guess that's where that international work came into play then for me. Like back in the year 2000, how was I to know that my daughter was going to pass away, in 2006? How was I to know that I was going to lose 3 children, let alone 1? So it's been quite a very painful and journey for me. But,
I can't imagine. People don't realize how much harder it is for a parent to lose a child.
Yeah.
The work you've done from experiencing that, and how many other people around the world your work has helped.
Yeah, and that's what I've always said to myself. Everything in life happens for a reason. Even the death of our children, and for everything that happens to us, there is goodness in everything. To me, there is no evilness. There's no evil. There's no bad. There's always good in everything. And I can see now through the death of my 3 children, the goodness of it all. Look how my children's death has blessed other people. It came my journey. Through the death of my kids, the work I'd done with my daughter for suicide. It's like, her work's now implemented worldwide. That brings healing to millions and millions of people, especially to those that are bereaved by suicide. And the work I do for my son, drowning prevention, his work now is implemented in every school in the Northern Territory here where I live. It's so I pushed hard. It took me 3 years, but now my work or my son's legacy is in every school here in the Northern Territory, and that there also brings healing to many people. So there's goodness, So I, like I say to my dead children, I say thank you, and I said your death has blessed so many people, through the work that, because had they not died, I probably wouldn't even be doing this work, helping other people. So, like I say, everything happens for a reason, and there's goodness in everything. Even the goodness. Look at the goodness that came out of my children's death. For me, that's very wonderful. That my children, bless them, that they had to pass early, but it was meant to be for their mother to come along and do this, and this is my true purpose in life, to do their work.
Yes, very good, very good. We've been joined with another guest that was also at the United Nations with us, Roberto Borrero. Hola.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Greetings, Takahi. Greetings. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Roberto is Taino living in New York, and the Taino are a Caribbean tribe, correct?
Correct.
and I will let you introduce yourself because you can do it better than I can.
Well, Takahi Guaitiao, greetings, relatives. This is Roberto Borrero. In my community, I'm also known as Mukaro Aguivana, and I'm a community leader from the south of Boriquén, which is known today by most folks as Puerto Rico. And I do work at the United Nations, advocacy work on for the International Indian Treaty Council, but also for a Taino organization called United Confederation of Taino People.
Wow. Yeah, I missed that last time, so that was so nice to hear, Roberto. So the other thing that you've been doing, and I've seen it online, you've been in Jamaica, is that right?
Oh yes, just recently returned back. The Taino people are the traditional indigenous peoples of the Caribbean islands. So our folks, our territorial homelands extended through most of the larger islands in the Caribbean, such as I mentioned, Boriquén or Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic and Haiti, which is one island but split politically down the middle. Also Cuba and Jamaica, as well as the Bahamas, and some of our folks were even in the very southern tip of Florida. So there's a real interest in indigenous culture and things indigenous in Jamaica, and I had a real honor to travel to one of the Maroon communities. I don't know if folks are aware of the Maroon people, but the Maroons are folks who were the descendants of Africans who were enslaved and brought over to Jamaica. Many of those folks escaped their bondage and escaped into the hills in Jamaica, and many of them joined with the remaining Taino people that were there, and so they actually fought the British long enough to get a few treaties. Several of the Maroon communities actually signed peace treaties, so they have their own sort of reserve land in Jamaica, and that's not a very well-known fact.
Wow.
Well, thank you for that, Roberto.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've been kind of following you. You went with Ty over there. I saw pictures of you two together over there.
Yes.
And then I even saw a picture, I think I posted today, of you blessing the land.
Yeah, we had it was interesting. I've just started traveling to Jamaica recently. It's been one of my goals to reconnect and really reconnect with whatever remaining Taino descendants are there on that island. And slowly folks have been reaching out and connecting. And this is beyond the Maroon community, just folks who are Taino descendants. And, slowly we've been getting some messages from folks, but there seems to be a real spiritual calling to connect or at least acknowledge the Taino presence on the island. So many things are going on, and there's a real focus, as could be expected, on empowering people and connecting to African heritage. But at the same time, the indigenous peoples, the Taino peoples, were there, and apparently the spirits don't want to be forgotten, and so there's this real calling, and folks have been interested. And last year when I went, a few Maroons had heard that I was going to be at, and myself and some other Taino were going to be at a particular festival, and they made the trip to just to say thank you on behalf of their ancestors for my ancestors for the help that we gave them when they escaped into the mountains. So that was a pretty powerful, profound moment for me. And this time was very profound because we actually went to the one community in particular, and were able to connect and reconnect and play music together and dance. And I just imagined how it must have been when those folks who were enslaved and brought over from Africa were first connecting with my ancestors so long ago. So it was a pretty powerful moment.
Wow.
Wow.
Sounds like a wonderful experience.
Yeah, I felt pretty honored, and I know Ty did as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there was some beautiful pictures that you guys had posted online about that.
So the other thing that you've been involved in, and because Julie's just finished her application to go to the World Conference in September, and I'll certainly do that today as well. Can you update us a little bit on what's happening with the World Conference, please?
Well, as you know, it would probably take more than one show to go through to go history. But no, I will try to do an update. There's just in all of these processes, there's so much political nuance. But at the end of the day, it's really about what is this? How is this going to benefit our people? You know, and the meaning our peoples all over this planet. And I mean, there's been some controversy about the World Conference because this particular World Conference, the way it was set up, it was not set up the way I think there was some indigenous people who had wanted a World Conference had envisioned it. This World Conference is actually what they would term a high plenary meeting of the General Assembly, to be known as a World Conference on Indigenous Peoples. So it's not like, for example, the World Conference on Racism that took place in South Africa, where there was a few prep comms and the conference itself was like a week long in another country, and there was a lot of momentum and publicity and a lot of just general interest in that. So it's not like that. It came up as this high plenary meeting, so there was many indigenous peoples who were kind of against that because what many folks don't know is that, you know, or they might could imagine, the UN is a place of governments and protocols, right? And so they have all kinds of rules if you have meetings in one place or where meetings in a General Assembly hall. And these are all these little nuances that I don't think were really thought through, or perhaps they were. You never know when this conference was called. And so it poses a challenge for participation because the states are still trying to come to grips with indigenous peoples being in the same room, it seems, you know, and being seen or participating as equals. And so there's been some outcry about that, and as some of you may know, participation and information about this conference has been going out through what they call regional caucuses. And these regional caucuses are connected to the caucuses that have been engaging the Permanent Forum on Indigenous issues. And what's interesting is that, you know, those caucuses were originally set up as ad hoc groupings for people arriving to the Permanent Forum, so that, for example, if folks from the Pacific arrived, you were better able to get an intervention heard from the floor if it was a group statement. So it made sense that peoples from the Pacific would gather and in a Pacific caucus and try to find issues that were similar across, or things that folks can agree upon. And the same thing happened for all the other regions. So when they started to develop this conference, they reached out to those different caucuses to try to get information out to folks. And so now we're at the point where this World Conference is going to happen, and it's going to take place in September. And so we're really scrambling to try to get right now the development of what they call a zero draft for the outcome document. Because out of these conferences, how the UN gets its mandate to follow up from a conference is the document that they develop after the conference is over. Then the governments as well as UN agencies look at that document, and this gives them the mandate to do follow-up work. And that document is also used by whatever stakeholders or constituencies or however people want to describe them. In this case, the document can be used by indigenous peoples to also lobby the governments, depending on what comes out of it, to say, well, you know, you guys, you folks here have committed yourselves to do such and such. Why aren't you doing this in my country? You were part of this, etc. So right now we're at the stage where we're trying to develop get an outcome document, a zero draft out. They had promised in the last PrepCom that document would be out today, but according to the sources inside, they don't think that document will come out until about Thursday or Friday. Then that will go out, and we can distribute that around, and folks could make comments on that. And then the plan is to have a final consultation on that document where folks will be making their statements on it, what their suggestions are, and then that document will go back to the President of the General Assembly, and then I believe there's another consultation that'll take place among states, and then we move on to September for the actual conference itself.
Gosh, because I have been following what's happening, and Ghazali has also been updating myself and Carl how things are going. Yeah, we so wish we could be over there now to be a part of this, but we definitely will try for September. And Ghazali's been pretty good. Every week he's just updated the Pacific and Asia, everyone from the caucus. Yes. And got feedback from us as well. I think we've got a strong Māori representative with you at the moment, Catherine.
Oh, yes, wonderful. Yes.
Yeah. So that's great. She'll be great. I didn't get a chance to meet her. I don't think she came to the permanent forum, but I definitely will meet her. I'm sure here, somewhere here in Aotearoa.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Sounds like really.
You'll be so busy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It sounds like you've just really been busy, Roberto.
Yeah. You know what they say, no rest for the wicked, right?
Oh, well, now, those are your words, not ours.
I think those were the first colonists' words, not mine.
Yes, and we've been meaning to talk to you. I think we're going to bring you on one of our first programs of decolonization so we don't put ourselves down, okay?
Okay, wonderful.
Okay. Yeah, I've been keeping up with you guys. I've seen some of the stuff that Gonzalez has been putting up, and then Hawkstorm's been over there with you guys as well, hasn't he?
Oh yes, he did participate in the last consultation, and you know it's wonderful. I mean, the idea is really to get this information out to folks, and you know here he is, someone from one of the local area nations, and who hadn't really been a part of this process before, and it's just been a pleasure to help facilitate that, and you know you folks also helped him during that time during the forum, and this is what it's about, really getting more of our people aware of what's happening so that these meetings just don't occur in a vacuum, and that we know as Indigenous peoples wherever we are that you know these governments are meeting and they're talking about us, and we should really know what's going on and you know, at every opportunity be able to speak out and speak up for our communities and our relations, and you know not just in our own particular homelands but across the world.
Right. Exactly. You know, the feeling that I got when I was there at the UN, I was, number one, I was just in awe that we had all these Indigenous people from all around the world in one place, and like I didn't really want to leave. I just wanted that to continue. And I felt, you know, just talking with different people in between going into the forum itself and getting to know people from different parts of the world, I kept getting that feeling if all of our Indigenous peoples could work together and talk like what we were doing, we could probably have this world in a lot better shape a lot quicker than any of the governments right now.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So, Julie, what are your thoughts? Julie? Oh.
I think she has her microphone muted and doesn't realize it if she's there.
Oh, yeah. Now I'm unmuted. Yeah. No, I'm just saying it was a really great comments by Roberto. I totally agree with him. Yeah, we should be making more Indigenous people aware of the Indigenous issues that are out there, you know, globally, and try to do our best, you know, to look for those solutions.
And I also think it's good, I think the good thing about all the indigenous peoples coming together, and Doreen and I have said this before, just with our own cultural exchange between the Maori and the Cherokee people, I think we see the same. I think when we see other indigenous people and what they're going through or how their culture is, we pick up on that and we take a greater pride in our own. But on top of that, at the United Nations, the thing that I walked away with is that no matter what tribal group we belong to, no matter where we're located geographically, we have the same history. And we have had exactly the same things happen to us as every other indigenous tribe or people around the world. And so that in itself is a major connection for us.
I think I took away, Mashu, from the conference was, but we still know how to share our information, even though some of us can get a little bit precious. At the end of the day, the picture's bigger than us.
Yes.
It's about all of us, so that we can, just live the basics of life. Food, shelter, warmth, just those basics that we need before we even get to, our land confiscations, loss of language. Before we even get to that, we actually need to be recognised just as basic human beings.
Yes.
And that's what I sort of saw over there. I saw a lot of sharing, and when we were in different side events, a lot of the different groups that were there, NGOs, and I think it's the Sami people, we're looking to Aotearoa for language tools. All of us want to share and we want to do all of that exchange. So I thought that was awesome to see it at a global level.
Oh yeah, I agree with you totally, and I also agree that I feel that there's a level of empowerment that also happens when we connect with each other, as Mashu was saying. I know it's done so for me, and these ties that we make during these times, I think they are so precious and so important at every level, not just practical because we have to get information out, but I think that if you look at our histories and what our people have gone through, just being there with each other and knowing that we're still alive and that we can share and that we have things to share, even after so much has gone on. I think Julie was kind of touching on that in her statements when I first tuned in, but just being through so much as peoples and carrying all that ancestral memory, as science is now just kind of admitting that the DNA, right, also has this ability to carry some memory with it, right? And so I think we help each other heal from this long road that we've been on, and it helps us, it fortifies us to keep moving ahead for our present and future generations.
Very true. Very true. We're still here, and it seems like a lot of the things that I've been reading and posting today, especially, kind of is saying the same thing that you just said, Roberto. that through it all, at least for here on Turtle Island, no matter what's come our way, we've endured, and it's and that we're not going anywhere. According to our prophecies, this is the time of change. The seventh generation, and a lot of people have misinterpreted that, and what it is that we are the change. The seventh generation is the change. And I think it's our people that are the ones that are going to bring our world situation through all this, because we as indigenous people are the caretakers and the stewards of our mother, the earth. I think this is in all of our prophecies. And when we were in New York, I actually, in my mind, I actually felt the coming together of the eagle and the condor there, because I was able to meet a lot of the South American tribes, and from South America, and it was just so interesting to me.
It's really a historic moment that we're living in, and it's certainly not lost upon me. And I really appreciate making this special connection between us. I consider you all family, and I'm just very happy to be connected and to be receiving updates, and even through all things people say about Facebook and what it's really about. It is a way to get updates, and which is why we also have to keep an eye on that internet and how these companies and corporations are also trying to take that away from us as well.
Oh yeah, always trying to mess with it. But one of the main I'm trying to say, it's not exact. It's our logo, Doreen, not our logo, but part of our statement.
Oh, part of our statement.
Yeah, with our Two Feathers International Consultancy, it's tribes helping tribes, and that's something that we both really believe in when it comes to the work that we're doing, and I really truly believe, and I know Doreen does too, that that's the way we're going to get anywhere. It's our tribes helping each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I hear that.
Tell you, we weren't quite ready for the international and the global approach, but we're here. It's just so wonderful to see that everyone is doing it. We're not unique. It's not just unique to us. Everyone is doing it at the moment, and we've just got this way that we've approached it. So we're ready now for the global approach because we're there.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, I'm really happy to have connected, and happy tonight to connect with Julie and all of you, and just looking forward to keep going.
Yeah.
Well, I know how to get in touch with you, so blessing or not, I'm around your neck, okay?
Yeah.
No, and you're doing great work. I've been keeping up with you and what you've been doing, and actually everybody that we've met from the United Nations trip.
I just wish I had time to post everything. It just this week, for example, what they call the high political forum on sustainable development has begun. And this is related to those sustainable development goals, and I think Doreen will remember that from Tribal Link. I was kind of talking to folks about the post-2015 agenda, meaning that the UN was talking about achieving what they call the Millennium Development Goals. This was like goals that they set to reduce poverty, increase education, et cetera, et cetera. And 2015 is the end of that period, and so after 2015, the countries are setting their sights on new goals, and the idea is development, right? So within development, there's been a big push for this word sustainable development, right? Because even they're starting to realize that the world is not in a good shape. We're overtaxing the resources, and they have words for it, calling that we're reaching the planetary boundaries. And so these meetings have been going on, and this is just another set of meetings. Last week it was the Small Island Developing State meetings and what's happening over there. And there's going to be a meeting in September in Samoa talking about what the development agenda is for Small Island Developing States. So I've been also a part of these processes and trying to get information out as well on them. But, there's only so much time in the day, right? So we don't get to post everything. But, it's been a busy time.
Oh, that's great. It's great that you're there, though. And so we know you're there.
Thank you.
It keeps you busy, but I tell you what, it's needed, and you're meant to be there to do that. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So, Mashu, I think we're just about ready to go for a break, are we?
I think so.
Roberto, are you still able to join us after the break, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll have to come offline. I have some stuff to do for tomorrow's meeting, but I really enjoyed the time, and please connect with me again. I'd love to come back on and just connect with you and maybe provide some updates at another point whenever you feel that you'd like to have me.
Sure, and we thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule for tonight. I know we didn't have you scheduled, and we just kind of popped you on without being prepared or anything, and we apologize for that, but we really appreciate you coming on and talking about, all the things that you've been doing. We appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I thought it was I thought it was great. Just you happened to catch me at a good time. I happened to have been here and been working on some stuff, so I was just happy I was here to receive the call and to be on, and again to connect with all of you and Julie as well. And I look forward to keeping connected. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. That means good. Until we meet again, my friend. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Good night.
Good night.
And add me on Facebook.
Okay.
Okay.
Right now. Right now, Robert.
I will.
Coffee time now.
Yeah, I think why don't we just go to break right now, and then we'll come back for the second half of the program.
Yep.
Join us on Just Us Radio Network for our shows Enflowment, Unity in Community, Numbers in Time, The Indigenous People's Voice, One Point of View, Walking the Talk with Kurt, and the People's Round Table. Check out our website for information about upcoming shows. Just ask Google to find Just Us Radio Network, and you will find links to our website and to our blog talk and Facebook pages, as well as to our podcast, where you can subscribe for automatic downloads.
Welcome back. We have a wonderful guest tonight, Julie Turner from Australia, along with Doreen and I this evening. And we also had another guest on the first part of our program by the name of Roberto, who is Taino Indian. And I didn't announce the song that played in the very beginning of the show. That was a song by Bo Taylor from our Cherokee people, and that was one of our welcoming songs, and it's from his album, The Rebuilding of the Fire. The second song that was just heard was Maori, and it was written by my adopted brother, Peter Picot, of the Napuhi tribe of the northern part of the island, and that's Pao Napuhi, Doreen.
Mm-hmm.
And that has become like the national anthem of the Napuhi people. And so I'd like to just, give credit for those two songs that were played. Also, our call-in number, should anyone want to call in, is area code 718-506-1564. Again, that's area code 718-506-1564. And I think that's all the announcements I really have for right now.
Thank you, Mashu.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have, just for the listeners that aren't able to ring or even able to connect with our chat room. We also have a Facebook page, the Indigenous Peoples of the World. If you look that up on Facebook, you'll be able to connect with a lot of the people that we do have on the show, as well as other people from just everywhere.
Very true. Very true. So are you back with Julie?
Yes, I am.
Hey, you forgot to turn your mic on again, didn't you?
Yes.
That's all right. It takes getting used to, but you're doing very well. You're doing very well.
Thank you.
That was so awesome having Roberto on and just listening to everything. So he hasn't rested.
Sounds like somebody else I know in Aotearoa.
Oh, yeah, but that's working for money. It's a little bit different. So you're in the outback at the moment, Julie, is that right?
Yeah, I'm just what they call down the track, like, down the road from Darwin, but I'm not really down the road, I'm right down the road. Yes, I'm a long way from home at the moment.
So, do you want to, like, the outback for me is just way out in the bush. And then I don't know if you use those terms, Mashu, do you? Do you say...
Well, when I go teaching, I'm in very remote area when I teach. Like, there's no shops, no hotels, no pubs. Yeah, there's nothing, So that's when I'm teaching. But at the moment, because I'm on school holidays, I'm just helping a friend out here. I mean, this place here has got one shop, and one post office. So, and that's just about it. And one service station for gas. So, yeah.
Oh. That's cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Terms that we don't
and that's why the other night, that's why I had to drive all the way to Darwin just to get my laptop so I could Skype on Tuesday morning, like today. And then we drove all the way to Darwin just to get my laptop, throw it in the car, and then we had to hit the road and drive all night. And I climbed into bed like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I had to get up at 8 a.m. in the morning, and it was just like crazy. But, you should be thankful. I went all the way to Darwin just to get my laptop and threw it in the car and turned around and drove all the way back here. Long way.
I'm not going to feel that sorry for you because I know aside from that laptop, you brought your dog back with you too, so...
Yes, I'm very grateful to have her with me.
But we are glad you did that. We're very, very thankful. So, but now you've got companionship, a live companionship besides your computer.
Yeah, so I'm happy that she's here with me now. So, very happy.
Now, see, we don't have that term on the outback or the bush here on Turtle Island. We just say out in the woods or out in the mountains or wherever, away from civilization. Those are specifically just for Australia, I think, and also Aotearoa.
Yeah, we got very unique lifestyle living in the outback here. Yeah.
Do you have a lot of people still living old way in the outback?
Oh, no, everything's all westernized now. It's all whitefellas way. But, I mean, they do go out hunting, like for ceremony times. When they have special ceremonies, they'll go out and hunt and do all the hunting and gathering, bring all the food back, have the old dancing, songs, ceremonies, initiations and all that. Yeah, that still happens up here in the northern part of Australia. Not so much down the south. Like I said, up in the northern part of Australia is still very traditional in a lot of ways, but that's right out in remote communities.
I have seen some older movies, and of course they came through Hollywood, but some
Hollywood is Hollywood.
Yeah, but I mean, it still depicted the atrocities of the people, and I don't remember the name of the movie, but I was just wondering about the genocide that's been in your country. Has it affected your population, or has your people kind of come back from that? Or what is actually the state of your people right now as far as that goes, if you know the answer?
Yeah, well, they say that Indigenous people in Australia only make up like 4% of the whole population of Australia. And Australia has a population of, I think it's 21 million. Is that right or something? And from what I've been told, you can fit the whole of the population of Australia into New York City or something itself. And funny enough, while I was in New York for the UN, when I went on that hop-on and hop-off bus, for the tour, being the tourist there, the tour guide said the whole population of Australia can fit in New York City. And I thought, oh, he's spot on. He knows his knowledge. So yeah,
that's amazing.
The whole population of Australia can fit into New York City, and Indigenous people only make up about 4% of that. And when they say, and they tend to say that Indigenous Australians, that we're big drinkers, alcoholics. They make out black people, are drunk all the time. But really, when you look at the population, Australia may have a big drinking population, but for that, only 2% of Indigenous people make up that drinking population. So what are they on about?
Yeah, really. I think the latest statistics that I saw for our people here on Turtle Island is that we make up 4.4% of the total population of the United States.
Yeah. Is that just your Cherokee people, or is that all the other
This is all
tribes?
All tribes.
All tribes. Okay.
The largest tribe in population is the Navajo, or what they call themselves the Dene.
Okay.
And then the second largest in population is our people, what people call the Cherokee, but in our way we either call ourselves the Wainuiarua, the real people, or the Gaduwa, which is our real name, or we were given a name called the Tsalagi by the Choctaw because we hid out in caves, so they called us cave dwellers. And then the Anglo people came and took that Tsalagi and made it into Cherokee.
Okay, then that's interesting. I've never even heard of that history before. Explains that way, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of our names of our tribes are not as they're supposed to be because the Anglo invaders couldn't wrap their tongues around our language.
Yes.
And so we have a lot of our tribal names are different.
When I was in New York, I went to the Native American Museum down in southern Manhattan there. And, I found that very interesting. But I had time up against me. I didn't, because we had to I said to my friend, I need to, not that I want to. I said, I need to go in there. I said, something's calling me in there. I need to go in there. And then, but my friend, she started to get a little bit sick and she was tired and she was cold. And I said, okay, then let's go back to the hotel. So, when I go back to New York, I want to go back to that Native American Museum again because I just find the history is, so interesting, plus very spiritual too for it to be calling me in there.
If I'm there, grab me up because I didn't get to go see that. I would love to go to that museum.
Yeah. Well, I got a little bit sidetracked because I had Hawaiian people, Indigenous Hawaiians, doing their dancing and their songs. So I just walked in there. I just sat down on the floor there with my legs crossed, and I was just soaking it all in. And I forgot. By the time all the songs and dances were finished, they said, "Okay, we're closing now." So And I didn't even that was my second time. I didn't even have a chance to go around to look at the exhibits, to look at all the different, Native American tribes, to learn their history from each tribe. So, and the lady said, oh, well, sorry, we're closing now. So I was out the door again,
Well,
but it was really good, yeah.
We'll just have to plan a trip on a Saturday, or, well, I don't know if it'd be open on a Sunday, but on Saturday anyway.
Yeah, I think it's open every day. It's every day. It's open 7 days a week.
That's good. Well, see, now you sound like I do. When I see anything like the cultural dances, like from Hawaii or even, Arawa or even our tribal dances, no matter where they're from, I'm lost.
Yep, that's it.
I'm totally lost when that happens. The last time I was there, Doreen and I went up by Waitangi, and they had some dances that were going on, some Maori dances. And man, I walked away with such a sunburn on my head, but I wanted to sit there and watch these dances, and I was dressed traditional, but I just wanted to see them, so I just stood there in the sun, and so I was really red. That's what makes our people red. But they never said red and sore, a little bit sore, right on the top of the head.
Yeah. Oh, me, I took my shoes off, everything. I was just bare feet, walking around in the museum, and people looking at me like I was weird, I mean, the white fella people that were visiting the museum, they were looking at me weird. But, and I just sat down with, with no shoes on, cross-legged, just listening, to the elders talking first, and then, then the song and the dance, and then they asked people to get up, and they asking young children to dance with them. So, yeah, I'm very much a barefooted person, every opportunity that I get, because I'm connecting to Mother Earth. I like to feel her under my feet at all times. Yeah. And the good thing about teaching out in the remote schools, as a teacher, I can take my shoes off and stand in the classroom, bare feet, even though it's carpet. But, yeah.
You have to look for a place in New York, though. That's a concrete jungle to find places to put your feet to touch Mother Earth.
And that's why I was kept drawn to go up to Central. I went to Central Park so many times because I needed grass. I needed grass under my feet.
Oh, nice.
I never made it to Central Park. I made it to Times Square.
No, that would have been nice.
Yeah,
we have to hook up with Julie because she seems like to know where the good places are to go now.
We will. But the other place we didn't get to was, what's her name? It's standing with the torch.
The Statue of Liberty. I climbed her while I was there.
I hope you took the stairs on the inside instead of climbing up or on the outside.
Yeah, I climbed those stairs inside all the way up to her, and it was really good. Even my photos of me standing in front of the, and standing there, I'm bare feet, and the Statue of Liberty is right behind me. You can see me standing in front of the statue, and I'm bare feet,
Sounds like you got around. I didn't even. Well, I saw the Statue of Liberty when we flew in. That's about the only time I saw it. I think I heard something about. I could be dead wrong on this. I don't know, but for some reason I got it in my head that I heard that they were talking about returning the Statue of Liberty to France or something for some reason. This was like several months ago. Has anyone else heard anything about that?
No, not. All I know that she's been repainted up recently, and she only opened up on I think it was the 1st of May. They opened her up, and then when was our conference? May the 11th or something.
Yeah.
May the 11th to the 23rd.
Yeah, because they only recently opened her back up because they renovated her. They repainted her, and also, from that, they shut her down for a couple of months too because of the 9/11, and that's when said they thought they better open her back up again. But now, since 9/11, they only allow 360 people in each day. No more.
Oh. I wonder why. Is that because of the age and the wear and tear?
Well, see, once upon a time, you used to be able to climb all the way up to her crown, or up to the torch. But now they don't allow people to climb all the way up to, like, the torch where the torch is, because they scare that part might, it's getting wear and tear, it might just break off or something. So you can only climb up to her crown now.
I wonder if what I heard was maybe that they were having or considering having her repaired or, to be reinforced somehow.
Yeah, or maybe.
Because the Statue of Liberty was a gift from France.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that's where I got that connection from. So you're planning to go to the next conference, Julie, on the 22nd and the 23rd of September?
Yes, I'm hoping to, because when I got that email very late yesterday afternoon, they were calling for 28 delegates. The email said that they're allowing 200 Indigenous people to be fully funded, and from our region, from our country, Australia, we got 28 people who would like to, if you want to nominate, just put in an expression of interest. So that's what I'm doing now. Well, as soon as I get to the radio, I'll probably get back to writing my letter, my expression of interest on why I want to go.
Have you heard anything about that, Doreen?
No. Julie, if you've got the regional one, I was just about to send it to you after we finish this anyway, because so it's something that I'm surprised I didn't let you guys know. Now, what's that other guy? What's that other guy's name? You said his name before, Ghazali or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that how you say it, Ghazali? Yeah. He was the one now that notified us that there were 200 people that the UN were funding, like 200 people, and from our region, well, Australia, we got 28. So I guess New Zealand, you mob should have your number. You should have your magic number. How many people to go? Because it'd be good for you and Carl to go.
Yeah, I definitely will apply.
Yeah.
But I haven't got the email with the form, the details. So that'll be great if you could. Please.
Yep,
Mashu will find out where it is for Turtle Island, who the contact is, because I'm pretty sure Turtle Island will get the same.
Yeah, I would like to find out. And then also for the one in Geneva, which is also before that, also in September.
Well, that application has now closed. That closed when we applied to attend the permanent forum.
Oh, for the one in September, for Geneva?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're not going to go to that one.
Well, when we applied for the permanent forum, we also applied for Geneva at that time.
Oh, okay.
So we just haven't heard.
Okay. Sounds good. Are you planning to go to that one in Geneva as well, Julie?
No, I have to be very careful of my time in regard to school and all that. Yeah. Mm. I mean, I would love to, of course, and I would love to go to Geneva just as an observer, just to watch how they do it, I mean, like I said, the UN in May was my first time, and I'm not really experienced like all those other people that are applying. Because when I saw the list of people that were Indigenous Australians that were putting their names down, there were people like Mick Gooder, Mick Dodson, Katie Kears. I'm thinking, these people, they got years and years of experience, of UN experience under their belt. For me to put in my little expression of interest, Yeah, but I'm very confident I'll be selected, because I have met every criteria. I've ticked off. I have met every selection criteria on their criteria list. So that's why I'm applying for it.
But
plus, the fact that
I think going the first time as an observer is a good idea, because Darwin got pulled into meetings before I got there, but going as an observer, you get to see how things are done, and you're better prepared for the second time around, I think. And so going to Geneva as an observer, I think, would be choice also, because then if we get to go again, then we're even more prepared for that aspect of it, and what the UN does there for the Treaties Council.
Yeah. Doreen, you have to send me your email address again, because I left your business card and I left that twin feather folder back in Darwin. I don't feel like jumping in the car. Just go up there to get it there.
Okay.
Just give me your...
I'll private message it. Oh, no, I'll put it on here.
Yeah.
That's great, because I certainly do want to apply.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm looking at this letter now. It's from Gaduwa. He advised that there are 200 places available for Indigenous participants at the World Conference on Indigenous People in New York in September this year. This number will be divided equally among the 7 geopolitical regions. Therefore, each region should nominate 20 delegates each. And the deadline for the deadline for nominations closes on the 4th of July. So I've only got until the close of business tomorrow afternoon to get this in. But hopefully, in another 2 more hours, I shall be submitting my application through then. Yeah. See, within Australia, we got... Yeah. So what we've done in Australia, we set up like a selection panel committee. And I don't know if you know that guy's name, Brian Wyatt. He's going to chair the selection process. So, yeah. But I'm sending this email through now to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And then you can pass it on then to Mashu, eh?
Yep, I will.
Yeah. Okay.
Our NGO will be represented there then through these people in this letter that you sent, Doreen, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. And that's also, I guess, much everyone that's listening, because we've put it out there. There are opportunities there for people that want to attend the World Conference on the 22nd and 23rd of September this year in New York. Because it's not exclusive to us. I only want to go back because I've had a taste. And once you get that taste...
Once you get that taste, you become really hungry, is what you're saying.
Right.
It becomes addictive, and then we're going to have to go see Julie for training on how to not have addictive habits. but she's right there with us, so that's like the blind leading the blind.
That's how we do it down under, Mashu.
Yeah. Well, as long as it works, that's good. But
you should have that email now, Doreen. Sorry, Mashu, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Not a problem.
So, Julie, I'm not sure if I knew last week, we've been running programs here in the prisons.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, and under 2 feathers, and it's just a touch on decolonisation. If you had a chance to watch the DVD that you in that package.
No, I haven't had a chance yet. Doreen, I've still got to unpack my suitcase from New York. my presents and my gifts are still in that suitcase. My daughter is asking me for her present. I said, well, you get it when you get it. I said, but when I get back to Darwin, I said, when I finish here, I've got to fly back to Darwin. Oh, I've got to drive all the way back to Darwin, then jump on the plane and go to Perth for a national conference. And then when I get back, when that's finished, I've got to fly back to Darwin only to jump on the plane with my dog and head out to teaching, then get out to the islands. I've got to fly to one of the islands off mainland Australia. And so that's why I'm taking my dog with me, because I'll be teaching off the mainland this time.
Oh my God.
So she won't get her New York present until September, most probably.
And you can just see, this time you won't have to buy her anything, and she won't know the difference. You can just use the same stuff.
And then in whatever presents I buy in September, well, she probably won't get it till Christmas time. Because that's how it is. I'm just I just throw one suitcase on the floor because the other suitcase is already packed for me to grab, and I'm out the door again. So, and that's what I've done now. I've already got my work bag packed. So when I get back to Darwin, I'll just dump the bag that I've got now and just grab my work bag and go, see? I'm a busy person.
You sound very organized. And when I grow up and get close to your age, I will be organized as well, because I will take this as a lesson from you.
You mean when I grow up and I get close to your age?
I know, but I felt better saying it the other way. It made me sound like I had a little longevity.
Isn't that the case, though? Like, everything seems to be fast-tracking.
Yes.
And people that are coming into our lives and what we're doing, it seems to be on fast track.
I still haven't unpacked my suitcase.
So, if that same stuff, Julie.
Pardon, Doreen? Pardon? I didn't hear that.
Same thing after the next. I managed to unpack my suitcase on the weekend and give the gifts from New York to my family. But you, I just didn't have the time. I haven't had the time until now because we're just so busy.
Yeah. And now it's just like I'm rushing again to get this expression of interest in. Like, I want to try and get it in by 3 p.m. today. Mm-hmm. Just to be on the safe side, because they close the business tomorrow. But we were only notified last night, so it's like, they tell you things at the last minute, and then you have to be really quick and flexible and adapt to change very quick. That's one of my specialties, I guess.
But
I'm able to adapt to things quickly and change and swap and do things at the last minute, just like that. And that's the same with teaching,
Yeah.
If all the students are ratty, well, then you need to just drop the lesson and, try something else until they settle down. And when they settle down, then you get back to the lesson.
But that form that you're sending in or that you're trying to complete, you send that in via email, don't you?
Yeah. It's an email process. Yeah, just sending it in.
Can you imagine how long all this process would take if we had to do it by conventional mail?
I know.
Especially from around the world.
Yep. It'd be, mind boggles now.
It'd take forever.
That's why I was laughing yesterday. I just couldn't, because I find computer technology, challenging for me. And I said to Doreen, I just can't figure out how to get the Skype going, even though everything looks right. All I had to do was simply reboot the stupid computer, and it worked. But I was like that. I was dumbfounded for like 3 hours. I couldn't figure it out.
But it turned out good. See?
Yeah, and I was saying, and damn, I said I drove all the way the midnight run to Darwin just to get this laptop, to Skype on, Indigenous Tribal Voice, and and it's not working,
Oh,
but
well.
Meant to be. That's what I'm saying. Everything's all good. There's good in everything. There's no bad in this world. And sometimes you find that... Sorry.
I'm just being cheeky to Mashu.
I didn't hear what you said.
No, just as well.
Oh, okay. Well, you see, and even when it does turn out bad, there's usually a good lesson in that keeps it from ever turning bad again. Whatever the situation is. So we learn from both.
You know what I found interesting, Mashu, when you said the seventh generation, the time for change. That was like, oh, man, you gave me goosebumps, but I kept quiet while you kept talking, and I'm thinking, and it was just like that voice was just going in repeatedly in my head, the seventh generation, the seventh generation, the seventh generation, change. It was like it was like a spiritual moment, and it was like I had goosebumps, and it was like, wow, But I mean, I didn't say that at the time because I was just keeping quiet because, I was just still listening to you telling the story of change, for your tribe, for the seventh generation. We are the change.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
This is not only for my tribe, but this is a prophecy of almost all tribes here on Turtle Island. We have this prophecy, and it tells about the change. And a lot of people were misinterpreting that, saying that the world was coming to an end and how the earth was going to be affected and all of that. Well, the earth is being affected, and it's being affected by man itself. The worst thing that's happened to this planet is mankind, and that's because of the destruction. Our indigenous people have always considered ourselves as caretakers of the earth. This is our mother. Most tribes look at the earth as our mother. And what we're doing is that we're taking care of her and making her better and more vibrant to take care of 7 generations ahead of us, for our children, their children, and their children. And we take the earth as it is when we find it, and we try to leave it as a much better place for our descendants. Now, this is for most indigenous peoples around the world. Then we have another whole faction, which is not indigenous, who have come away from their ancient tribal teachings over time, over these thousands of years, and now today it's the corporations that control most of the governments in the world, or all the governments in the world, and the only thing it is profit, and what they're doing is destroying the earth. And this is where, within the last 2 years especially, you've seen indigenous people standing up and fighting governments to protect the land, to protect our mother. And you found that at the same time, like up in Canada with the Idle No More, the Prime Minister up there just totally wrote off by the sweep of a pen, said there was no more indigenous people in Canada. And so,
how dare he?
Yeah, it's called paper genocide. And so they figured this would give them access to the land up there for the natural resources. Well, they started this fracking and this the tar sands, which is destroying the water because all that's running off into the water. It's killing the fish. It's killing the vegetation around where the water is. And it's killing the animals that come to the water to drink. And it's going to be killing man because we also depend on water. And so this is where the movement have started. And this really came to light when I was over in New Zealand a couple of years ago. And I kind of became the spokesman in New Zealand for that, for Idle No More, and the unification of indigenous people to stop this. And the one good thing that I've seen within the last 2 days, since all of this has been going on, is that here they're in New York especially, they just passed a law today that towns could decide whether there would be any fracking or not. It's up to the individual towns now. So that's a step in the right direction to put a stop to it. And I think more and more people are going to start turning that way, and I think that's wonderful if that happens, but we just kind of have to see how that goes.
Yeah.
I hate to count on something and then have it not turn out, but, the thing is, we don't own the land as indigenous people. We are connected with the land. We are a part of the land. We are one with the land. And we're here, what we're doing is borrowing it from our descendants and making sure that it's still sustainable for them 7 generations down the line. And that's the way we think. So this change, when all this takes place and it culminates, it's supposed to get pretty bad, but we're not going to die. We're not going to lose all of mankind. It's our indigenous people and our prophecies that say that are going to be the ones to do the replanting of all the vegetation that was around, and our trees and our grasses and like with us it would be our corn, our squash, our beans, all the things that we had, the different trees and stuff. And there's lots of tribes that even have storages of these put away, for when that time comes. But this is why I say, this is what our prophecies are, and this is how we in Turtle Island have been dealing with it and preparing for it. And it really hit home when I was in New York, when I saw all of the South American tribes, because Turtle Island includes all of Canada, the North American continent and the South American continent. That's what we call Turtle Island. And we recognize all those tribal people from the very northern tip to the very southern tip as being indigenous and as our people, because before European invasion of our country, we had no borders. We had territories, but no borders where there was actually patrols and stuff. So it was very normal for our people to roam around. So when I was there, I saw so many tribes from South America and was able to talk with them, and from Panama and all of that. It was just so good. I actually felt the eagle and the condor coming together. And then when Doreen and I and Carl went over to a side event over at the United Nations Church, there was a lot of the tribes from down there over there. I actually purchased 2 pipes, like what we call hand pipes, but they were very small, and one had an eagle head and one had a condor head on it. And that was my gift I brought back for myself, because that had a lot of meaning to me, and I just happened to see that over there. So do your people have any prophecies like that? Do you know of?
No, not that I know of. Yeah. No, like I said, with my own culture, I don't know very much in regards to my own tribe. And I'm not sure of any other tribes here in the Northern Territory that have prophecy like that either. But with the 7, the 7th generation, the change. Another thing I was reading about, they saying that around about this time, that it's no coincidence. There's a lot of white albino animals that are being born, whether it be an albino kangaroo or albino whale or dolphin or there seem to be, just recently there seem to be a lot of albino animals being born in the wildlife. When you think that albino is, was very rare once upon a time. But then I was reading an article, and I don't know where I read this article or whether I saw it on Facebook or National Geographic book or something, but it was stating that from a Native American view, that these albino animals are born because this is the time of change, and these animals are a sign of that change. So maybe that's connected to the 7th generation that's being that's coming now, bringing about change. This is why these animals are appearing, because they are a sign of change is going to happen. Now, I know it was something connected to Native American something, but am I right or am I wrong, Mashu?
Not so much. I have not heard that about the albino, but with our indigenous people, and this is, I can say pretty safely for all tribes, any animal that is pure white, not albino, but white, is considered to be very, very sacred to our people. The reason it was explained to me by my elders is because the white to us represents the Great Spirit, or what you would call Creator or God, whatever your term is. But they differentiate that from not being albino. Albino has the pink eyes and everything. These animals have the regular eyes. It's just that their skin and their fur are white, with like the sacred white buffalo, and that's more for your plains people, even though the rest of our people know about that, the white buffalo and the white buffalo calf woman. We've had 4, I think, so far that have been born in recent times, and to indigenous people, especially the plains people, like the Lakota, the Cheyenne, the Nakota, the Dakota, the Mandan, all those people that live in the central parts of our country and northern woodland, that is like the second coming of Christ if they were to be Christian. So they're held in very high honor and with a lot of respect, and people, indigenous people, will travel for hundreds of miles no matter where this buffalo is born, because once the word gets out, then people come and they make tobacco offerings they use tobacco to make prayer bundles, because tobacco is what our people used to pray with. It's a very sacred herb to our people, and it's the most toxic, and it's also used as a medicine, and that's what we pray with. And so they make prayer ties, and they, for this animal, and prayers go with that, and they bring gifts. So that's to give you an example of what the white animals mean to us. If I was to go out, let's say if I was a hunter, I'm not allowed to hunt, but if I was a hunter and I was to go out and see a white deer, for example, there's no way I would shoot it or kill it. Any animal that's white is considered off limits as far as our traditional people, because that's very sacred. That was put here by Creator.
Yeah, I understand, and I totally agree. Like, the white the animal is, like, without the pink eyes and all that, very white animals are very sacred. So, yeah. So thank you for sharing that.
You are very welcome. But like I said, our people don't. That story of the white buffalo calf woman, and she brought the pipe, what most people call the peace pipe, to the Central Plains people. Our people know of that story, but that's not a story of our people, because we're down in the southeastern, in the mountains of the Smoky Mountains in our country, which we call Turtle Island, and our stories are different, and our cultures are different, and so the way we do our sacred ceremonies are a little different. We have one thing about our tribes here all over Turtle Island is we have a lot of things that are alike. The basics are alike, but you go from one tribe to another across this vast country of ours, it really changes. There's a different language almost for every different tribe you come to, and then off of your languages you've got dialects, and then the culture is different, and everything that made up our culture was dependent upon our geographical location. Our geographical location determined the types of homes we have, the type of clothing we have, medicines, colognes, the materials that we made our clothes of, even the beads, and the stuff like that. All of that was determined by our geographical location. And even though it's still modern today and we can get them just about everywhere, our traditional people still go along with those geographical boundaries. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, Indigenous people, they know where the boundaries are. Yes, they always know where the boundaries are.
Well, we have a lot of people today that have been brought up in urban situations, and they don't really have the full knowledge. But the thing is, so far, even in today's world, there's ways to make that connection. There's ways to get back to where their ancestors are, and that's a lot of the stuff that we're doing today. Just like when we go to powwows, which is our social gathering of our people, where we come together to trade and barter, to do traditional dances, to have fun, see friends and relatives maybe we haven't seen in many years. And this is one way to hook up, and to make that connection, because they're open to the public. And so that's one way these people have a chance to come and make that connection and search their ancestry, and their connections, the tribal connections that way as well.
Yeah.
Do you have things like that in Australia where people might be going through the same situation, trying to regain their identity?
Maybe like right out. Like I said, the top end of Australia is very still steeped in tradition. But I can only think of maybe 3 clans, like in Central Australia, that may do that. Maybe very in East Arnhem Land, like that's where I teach. I teach out in the East Arnhem region, and all those tribes there. There's 12 tribes just in that region alone, and I mean, I can find out for you and let you know, next week, if you like. Yeah.
Well, I was just curious because I know the Maori, they have gatherings of their people that they call huis, and our people have our gatherings and it's all tribes are welcome to come, and they're called powwows. So I just wondered if your people had something similar to that.
Oh, we have what we call, like National Indigenous Week, which we just had like 2 weeks ago, where all Indigenous people in Australia, we just celebrate, Indigenous dance, Indigenous songs. We might even just have an Indigenous sports carnival, where we have Indigenous football, Indigenous netball, soccer, the whole lot. So I guess it's just each and every community, just celebrating Indigenous issues. I mean, I know they're trying to push to make make us have like a national holiday in Australia, just for Indigenous people, like National Indigenous Day.
Well, you've got to work on something better than that, because here on Turtle Island we have Indigenous American Month.
Oh, okay then.
And then
I know with African Americans they have Black American History Month,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, but I never knew that the Native Americans had a month.
Yes, it's November. It's November here, and this is where, for me especially, because I've been lecturing in the schools from preschool to universities on our people for, going on 46, 47 years. And this is the time where most of the lectures would come in. It's because it was federally mandated that we have to be allowed into the schools to teach our history, and to have Native American speakers. So we have a month to do that, and this is celebrated for a whole month. Now, on top of that, with our tribe, the Cherokee, we have our Cherokee New Year's, which is in the first 2 weeks of October.
Okay.
Our people all come together, and this is where we stay in camp for 2 weeks. We drum, we sing, we dance, we sometimes do games. We do our traditional crafts, be it beading or basketry, and just have a good time for that 2 weeks. But that's when our Cherokee New Year's is the first 2 weeks of October.
Wow.
And it's a lot of fun. I've been to one. I think 2011, Mashu, was it?
Yeah.
The Cherokee New Year's.
Did you say the first 2 weeks in October?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, with the UN stuff that's happening in September, that's going to be what, 23rd to the 22nd, 23rd in New York. A week after that, that's your celebration. I might hang around a bit.
Well, yeah, I'm going to have, if you're welcome, I'm going to have to go down to Alabama on the 4th, and I have to perform a traditional wedding for my niece and her husband-to-be.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. Yeah.
Yeah, and Doreen?
I mean, if I'm selected, that's of course if I'm selected to go September, I might see if I can, when these guys book my plane ticket, I'll just say, well, look, can I just come back, 2 weeks later after, and I'll pay all my own expense, for the next 2 weeks after the conference finish, of course. Yeah, and I might join you or something.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Probably have to go down to Alabama from there, and then maybe on our way back, hit North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's the main one main reservation there, and then when we came back this time from New York, we went to Oklahoma, and went to the Western Cherokee Nation there. That's only 4.5 hours from where I live here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the Cherokee Nation, that cover which region? How far to the east, how far to the west, and how far southeast?
Originally, we had what is now called North and South Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Northern Georgia, Northern Alabama, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Then in 1838, the President, Andrew Jackson, force-marched our people from the southeastern part of our country through 6 routes into what is now called the state of Oklahoma, then called...
And that's the Trails of Tears?
Huh?
Is that the Trails of Tears?
The Trail of Tears, exactly.
Yeah.
We lost 1 out of every 4 of our people died on the move, and even more than that died in the stockades waiting to be moved.
Yeah.
Or that it was I think it was an 800-mile trek went through one of the worst winters in history. And so since that time, our people, the people I'm from, are still from the original place, which is in the southeast, and that main reservation is in Cherokee, North Carolina. But after that, the next reservation would be the Western Band, where we were moved to, and that's called the Western Band, which is the first 14 counties up in the northeastern part of Oklahoma. And then off of that, you have what's called the United Kitua, which is my main group of people, but I'm Eastern Gaduwa, and they're also federally recognized by the government.
Okay.
And that's just my tribe. Now there's 500, and I think it's 76 tribes that are federally recognized, and there's twice as many more that are tribes and just as traditional as that, but the government does not recognize them.
Yeah. When you said earlier on the Navajo, they were the largest one, and you guys, the Cherokees, are the second largest. I always assumed that Cherokees were always leading, that you always had the largest nation. Has the Navajo always been leading, or have they just recently overtaken you at any point there?
No, the Navajo has been the largest in population for a number of years.
For numbers of years, okay.
Yeah. I see we only have a couple of minutes before we take off the air, and I'm going to ask our guest, Julie, if you have any closing words that you would like to express before we go off the air tonight.
I don't know what to say. I've just thoroughly enjoyed tonight's show, especially listening to Roberto and listening to him about the Maroon people. And, I just enjoyed listening to you and talking and sharing again with you and Doreen again this week. Yeah, and it was just interesting just to learn about the 7th generation and the change that is happening. So, thank you for sharing that with me.
You're very welcome.
And thank you everybody else for listening.
Mm-hmm. Doreen, do you have anything that you'd like to say before we close for the night?
I did try and find the actual words that talk about the 7th generation, but I couldn't find it. So He mihi aroha kia koe, Julie. My thanks and appreciation. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight on the show. So I love listening to you as well and everything that you're doing, because you're doing some amazing things for your people and you're taking it to the world, like Mashu and I are trying to do for our people. So kia kaha, kia maia, kia manoa nui. Have strength and be steadfast in all the work that you do. And to all our listeners, he mihi aroha kia koutou katoa. Thank you all for listening in tonight. Kia ora, Mashu.
Ski. I'd like to say Sanoyo style, Ganali Eli Nagida. Thank you and good night from Doreen and I. And again, thank you again, Julie, for being our guest. I'd like to thank everybody that did tune in tonight. We appreciate your listening. And with that, we will close. Have a great evening.